Love finances, the other F word, and want to support the show? Become a patron by going to patreon.com/FTOFW. You'll get special features, a shout out on the air, and early releases. Or if you prefer, pick up some merchandise at financestheotherfword.com.
As fantastic a CFP as Mel O is, and as wonderful an attorney as I am, please do note that anything said in our show are our opinions alone and are not meant to be taken as financial or legal advice.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, a Gen Xer podcast for musicians and music lovers, where we discuss money and music without all the pretentious bullshit. Here are your hosts, Zoe Terry, attorney at large, and Mel O, certified financial planner and author of Finances, the Other F Word. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Finances, the Other F Word, and today Zoe and I have a nice little podcast for you guys, a nice little show for you today. We are 2 days after the Super Bowl, and I'm sorry, Zoe, you said you did get to see the Super Bowl, right?
No, I didn't get to see the Super Bowl, but I did get to watch the halftime show on YouTube.
But, okay, so you didn't actually see it live?
No, I didn't.
Oh, shit. Oh, my God, it was amazing. So there is a little bit of a debate raging between Xers and Millennials. So typically when we're talking about any type of Super Bowl shows, they are always, legend acts like Bob Seger and the Rolling Stones, which are still a favorite of Zoe's. And
Rolling Stones, that is. I don't even know who Bob Seger is.
Bob Seger sings, just like that old time of rock and roll. Okay. Anyway, that was one of his big songs. That he has a whole bunch of other songs, but if you didn't know that one, then I'm thinking you're not going to know anything else that he has.
Probably not.
Yes. So, but they're typically legend acts. So, Tom Petty, of course, my dude, has done the Super Bowl, and then there's typically Beyonce's done it and killed it. Madonna did it one time. Fuck Madonna, and I think it was okay, and I think that's where she had her legs spread like ridiculously wide. And I was like, okay, my hat's off to you that you are that flexible still. I think she was like 50 something then. So I mean, good on her. But the debate that's raging now is because NBC came out with a article and it said Millennial. What was the actual title of it, Zoe? Do you have it there? Something like Super Bowl show sparks millennial nostalgia. Where the fuck did my phone go? Okay, it's on the floor. All right, I hope it's on silent. And so NBC puts out this article that says, Super Bowl halftime show sparks millennial nostalgia. And of course, people on Twitter and other places have been starting to lose their shit because of the simple fact that was clearly an Xer show.
Indeed, considering all of the performers were in their 40s and 50s, weren't they? Apart from maybe Kendrick Lamar.
Who was 34.
Right.
Yeah. And so there was this big argument. We've talked a lot about Gen X on this show. Obviously, we're a Gen Xer podcast, and Zoe and I are both Gen Xers. And we've talked a lot about how we've contributed things to the economy that's overlooked, how a lot of times when I have to do research for financial situations, when I'm trying to look for something very generation specific, it is always boomers and millennials. And in the grand scheme of the population, Xers are a small generation as compared to millennials and to boomers. So we're kind of sandwiched in the middle. And so we don't understand why we keep getting overlooked with stuff. And when that article came out, like, people lost their shit. Now, I could not figure out the age of the person who wrote it, but the person who wrote that article was either a boomer or a millennial, because there's no way a fucking Xer would have left X's out, or they could have said younger generations or something of that nature. But anyway, it was fucking amazing. I was dancing my ass off. And so we wanted to just talk a little bit about, I guess I wanted to plead my case to you guys why that was a fucking Xer halftime show. First of all, give us this, because we usually don't have anything very specific for us. And so I just did a little bit of research, and I have the wrong notebook. So hold on one second. Let me switch that notebook over. And let me get this notebook. And let's just go through a couple dates, all right? Now, I understand that you have music that overlaps generations. I get that part. I love Led Zeppelin, but I can't claim Led Zeppelin as an Xer because Led Zeppelin was clearly not in my generation, and these acts were clearly not in the millennial generation. So we're going to talk about a couple little things, unless you have some stuff to interject real quick, Zoe.
Not right now. I will when I do.
Okay, so you have to tell me if you've ever had any of these CDs, because I don't know if the music that was over here, like the music on that halftime show, did that make its way over to England, or were you already stateside by the time those things came out?
I'm not sure when they came out. I moved over here in 2002.
Okay, so then a lot of these came out
while I was here, I think.
Nope, before.
Oh, before?
Before, yeah. So
I've certainly heard of all of them. So I'm sure they and of course I've heard of all the acts. So I'm pretty sure all of them made their way to Europe.
So, well, I mean, they should have because they were badass. So let's just talk. Okay, so the millennial generation starts, the belief is that it starts in 1980 and then moves forward. But then there's a cut between the millennial generation where they take you guys from 1980, but then at about 1983 or 4, you become a different version of millennials because you guys started growing up with computers being in every home and actually working and not being like, we had like a Commodore 64 for fucking ever. And then my dad got an Amiga. And he was just so fucking excited about this Amiga, which today you probably wouldn't even, bother to throw it away. I mean, it's just so archaic, it's ridiculous. And I remember I played Spelunker on it. So I don't know if any of my extras out there ever played Spelunker, but it was this little pixelated dude, and he ran around in caves, and he had to jump over little hills that shot out steam, and then he had to spelunk like in a cave. And then of course Leisure Suit Larry, which we have talked about on the show before, but I'm going to keep talking about it because that was the coolest thing to play that before 18, and the whole goal of the game was to get laid.
I don't remember that. All I remember is the two lines that you would play kind of tennis with.
That's Pong. Good God, Zoe, you're not that old. Pong was out way before you were even old enough to hold a controller.
No, I remember playing it.
Okay, ignore her.
I am 92,
Shit, I was there 1,000 years ago. No. So, Leisure Suit Larry, go look at it if you have a chance to play it. Literally, all you try to do is get laid and get drunk, and it's fucking amazing. And it's also pixelated, and the guy he's wearing a leisure suit, and the only way that you can see is that he's wearing like a white suit jacket and pants, kind of, and it kind of looks like his shirt's unbuttoned, but you can't really tell, and there might be like a hint of a chain. And then if you don't use a rubber, like if you get this one prostitute, and if you don't use a rubber, then she ends up giving you like syphilis. Yeah. You guys, you have to see this on YouTube because Zoe's like, what the fuck am I even listening to?
I don't remember that. I don't think that made it across the pond, thank goodness.
Well, it should have because it was fucking amazing. And they had a little quiz that you had to do to prove that you were 18 years old. And of course, it was the same questions over and over again. So every time that you said you're not 18, they wouldn't let you in. You just would memorize the questions, and then eventually you would get into it. I mean, it was a really stupid security system. Now kids are playing, Grand Theft Auto, and there's prostitutes everywhere. But yeah, if you didn't use a condom, then you had sex with her and she gave you a disease, and then you ended up trying to go to the drugstore and I think you died, and there was a whole bunch of other shit. It was fucking Leisure Suit Larry, you guys, look it up. But let's just go over some real quick dates. So I can tell you again, this was an Xer show, okay? Millennials, I'm sorry, you don't get to have this. There's a whole bunch of people that are on social media that are saying, oh, the millennials, we've been through a whole bunch of stuff, and we need this, and we deserve this. Okay, fuck that, all right? The Xers went through 2008, so I don't want to hear shit about shit, all right? So, NWA, Straight Outta Compton, I'm going to take a guess. Did you ever have that CD?
Me? No.
Yes. Okay. I have it now. Straight Outta Compton came out August 8th of 1988, 8888. So if you were born in 1980, you would have been 8 years old, millennials. And I don't think you were listening to Straight Outta Compton at 8 years old. The Chronic, which is Dre's masterpiece, and then he came out with, the Chronic in 2000 something, but the original Chronic that introduced the world to Snoop Doggy Dogg came out.
Snoop Doggy Dogg.
Oh,
that was it.
Oh, I was dancing. I thought you were going to keep singing. Okay.
No.
All right. So The Chronic came out December 15th of 1992. And if you were born in 1980, you would have been 12 years old. and I was 17 at the time, and it had came out 5 months after I graduated, and so we bumped that shit all over the fucking place. So I don't know, did you guys ever get the gangster rap bug over there?
I'm sure we did. I personally didn't, but I'm sure lots of people did.
Oh my goodness.
I was too busy doing other things.
Like listening to lame English music?
No, I think we were, how old were we then? I would have been 18,
we would have
right?
been, because you're a year ahead of me, so 18. You'd have been 18 years old when the Chronic dropped.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I was listening
None but a G thing, baby. My favorite song off that CD, you guys, is Little Ghetto Boy. If you have the CD, don't just go to all the ones that got popular. Little Ghetto Boy is such a good fucking song. It opens up with like a flute. It's fucking badass as hell. So Doggy Style, Snoop's Doggy Style, which I still have, was released November 23rd of 1993. So I was almost a year out of high school at that point. I would have been 19 years old. If you were born in 1980, you would have been 13. So maybe at 13, maybe, you're starting to hear, gin and juice and shit on the radio, the censored version. Maybe you might start to be getting hip to Doggy Style. Then Eminem, of course. Eminem released his very first CD November 12th of 1996, but it only sold like 1,000 copies. And it was called Infinite. But then Dre got a hold of him, and he dropped the Slim Shady LP on February 23rd of 1999. And I would have been 25. And a millennial would have been 19 years old. So I might let you give you a little bit of crossing over and claiming Eminem, even though the reason why Eminem made it to where he was because of Dr. Dre. So I'm just saying, again, Xers. And by the way, Eminem, I was looking fine as fuck.
How could you tell? He was wearing a hoodie and a beard.
Dude, because when he first came out with Slim Shady, he had the really bleached, blonde, short-cut hair. Yeah. He looked like every other dude at that time in their 20s. And now it's like, I guess it's his natural color, and it's like brown, and then he has a beard, and he fucking looked just so... God, when he came up from the side and he went into Lose Yourself, that is like my favorite Eminem song. Joyce and I were on the couch like, we were like fucking jamming out. And see, it's so lost on you. I could see in her face, you guys. I could look at YouTube because Zoe's like...
it's not lost on me. I like that song, and I like Eminem. It's not lost on me. Him as an attractive male is lost on me, not as a talented musician.
No, he's fine as hell. So when he released the Slim Shady LP, that was February 23rd of 1999, I was 25 and working at the radio station, and when that thing hit, it fucking blew up and went absolutely crazy. Mary J. Blige put on a wonderful show. She sang amazingly. Her boots were bomb. What's the 411 was her very first CD, and I still have a copy of that CD. It's a fantastic CD. Sweet Thing on it is amazing. Of course, Real Love was her very first hit. That was released July 28th of 1992, and I had just graduated. Literally a month before that, or a month and a half before that CD dropped, I had just graduated. And if you were born in 1980, you would have been 12 years old. So I'm really not thinking that you're going to be able to claim What's the 411? And then, of course, 50 Cent, we didn't go to Kendrick Lamar because Kendrick Lamar is clearly in the millennial camp, so good on him. 50 Cent, who I felt so bad because 50's still hot. Like, he still had muscles on his arms and stuff, but when he first came out, like, when he was hanging upside down in the video, he was doing push-ups, and Dre and Eminem were, like, monitoring the clipboard, and I was like, this motherfucker is fine. And the thing is that when he started doing that, like they take a shot of his back, and I have a thing for backs, like
she does,
fucking muscular backs, and his back was so fucking muscular. And then when he dropped down, I was like, oh shit, like 50. I mean, I understand he was upside down, so even though he still had muscles, but his face looked huge when he was upside down. Like, I was like, oh my God, did 50 get fat? And so he's probably the like out of shape, in shape guy. But he still had the arms and the shoulders. I didn't get a really good shot at his back. But when he dropped down, I was like, oh, 50?
Plus why? I didn't really get why he did that.
Because in the video. So in the video, he was in a lab. And he was hanging upside down, and he was doing push-ups while he was hanging upside down because he was fucking ripped. His back was ripped. His fucking muscles in the front were ripped. And so Dre and Eminem were watching him with a clipboard, and they were taking notes, monitoring him, and he's just rapping. And so he did that to duplicate the In the Club video, except now, of course, he has probably about 40 extra pounds on him. But you know what? I'm still. And so his first album, Get Rich or Die Tryin', came out February 6th of 2003. So I'll give that to the millennials in the fact that they would have been 23 if they had been born in 1980. I was 29, but I was still hitting the clubs because I actually clubbed probably longer than anybody thinks you should, but I clubbed until about 34. And then I was like, okay, I'm too fucking old to be in the clubs anymore. So the bottom line out of all of this is that fucking show was not for millennials. I'm sorry, you guys. We love you. We have a lot of listeners at Millennials. Stop claiming our shit. Let us have this one. So this led to us looking at some of the past halftime shows. And there's been some god-awful ones. And so one of the first ones that comes to mind is Maroon 5.
I don't remember that one, but I can't remember what year it was. But I did like Maroon 5, so I'm trying to find the year for you. So Maroon 5, not a favorite. Oh, by the way, before we jump to this, so Eminem taking a knee is now a big fucking deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I didn't even realize he was taking a fucking knee, okay? I know that he went down on one knee, but nothing in my brain registered that he put... that he was down on a knee and that it should be controversial. And for those of you who are Americans, you remember that when the previous administration was in, there was this huge thing about, Colin Kaepernick taking a knee and how he was disrespecting the flags, and then he was disrespecting the troops, and then he was disrespecting the police, and so he just fucking kept disrespecting, just piling on, which is a total bunch of bullshit. But let me be real for a minute. When this first happened, when he first kneeled, I was pissed at him. I was pissed, and I thought he was You weren't? Well, I mean, but you're not American. I can still have an opinion. I live in America. I've raised
Okay, Americans. But every time I try to tell you you're Americanized, you get all pissed off and get British on me. So you got to pick your side, motherfucker. You can't be both things when it's convenient. So when he originally knelt, I was pissed and I was angry, and I'm like, you're disrespecting the flag and blah blah blah. Then, as I started to research a little bit more, and we've done a 4-part series on the economics of discrimination. We've talked about the discrimination in the judicial system. Those episodes are on our feed. You can go back and watch those. We've done just a whole bunch of discrimination that is systemic within different things in our society. Defunding the police, we did a whole section on that and what that really means. And the thing is that with all of that, when you take all that into consideration, I look at Colin Kaepernick now and I go, yeah, why couldn't he take a knee? Like, he didn't say fuck the flag, he didn't burn the flag, he didn't do any of that shit. He just simply took a knee, and everybody lost their fucking shit, which was primarily spurred on, in my opinion, by the previous administration needing something to have a grievance with. And so when Eminem took a knee yesterday, I didn't even connect the two at all. I was just like, fuck, that was a great performance, and I was waiting to see what song they were going to do next, but I wasn't sitting there staring at Eminem like, oh my god, he's taking a knee like Colin Kaepernick. I don't get what the big fucking deal is. So, do your thoughts on that, Zoe?
Well, I don't. Maybe because I was seeing it the day after, and I'd already seen headlines about him taking a knee. I was prepared for it, so when he did it, I got it, but I think it's a good show of solidarity from the white boy, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the big deal is. And then there was some upset because in some of the Snoop Dre songs, there was not having love for Popo, but they didn't say that. And then Kendrick Lamar had a anti-police thing, and everybody got upset, and I'm going to be willing to bet that white people were upset about that the most. I can't imagine.
Rap music, motherfuckers. What do they expect?
That's what I didn't understand.
It's supposed to be sanitized just because it's the Super Bowl.
Yeah, and for those of you who saw the Janet Jackson Justin Timberlake, I saw that live. That was titty. That was titty. There was no bullshit wardrobe malfunction, because now I don't know where you can find the actual halftime show, but all I remember is that he literally says, "I'm gonna have you naked by the end of this song." Ripped off her titty cover, and she had a huge sunflower, like a sun, like it looked almost like it went through the nipple, like it was a nipple ring, and then it went out from there, and I was like. And I didn't even get offended. I was like, "Oh my God, that looks like that hurts." It didn't even register to me that, oh yeah, I guess there's little kids all watching this, and now there's a boob flashed on television.
I mean, goodness, get a grip, nation, really. But and after that show, apparently they started having a 5-second delay and banning any sexy lyrics, and it. Come on.
Yeah, well, when the Rolling Stones did their Start Me Up, they couldn't sing "You Make a Dead Man Come." They couldn't sing that lyric. Mm-mm. And yeah, I don't know. And and so we're going to be talking about Prince here in a minute, but when we're talking about halftime shows, he could have played Get Off, he could have played Darling Nikki, he could have been really nasty, and he was actually pretty classy on that. But he was absolutely amazing. So everybody's all fucking butthurt because Eminem took a knee. Big fucking deal. And then other people are upset because of some of the lyrics that are in the song, which weren't even on the fucking Super Bowl show. They had a problem. Then bitch, change the channel. Like when they have a country music halftime show, I fucking walk away. I go do something else. I'm not going to sit there and be pissed off about the people on the stage. And it's just a whole bunch of bullshit. Like nobody in America can just be fucking chill and happy and be like, okay, not my type of music, but I liked it or I didn't like it. Everybody's got to find something to fucking be a dick about and bitch, you know? Mm-hmm. So it was, Maroon 5 was 2019.
Oh, yeah, so I was very much here, and I'm sure I did see it.
Yeah, so I don't think Adam is hot at all. And first of all, I'm a rocker chick, but he is tatted up from here all the way down. Mm-hmm. And I just don't think the man's attractive. And he's just completely, shirt is off, and he's singing whatever bitch-ass Maroon 5 songs that he sings.
I like Maroon 5.
I like Moves Like Jagger. I do.
Oh, best song.
I do. I fucking love that song. Yeah. But no, I could do without every other song that they've ever made. But when they came out, but of course it was in a very contentious time because that was during Colin, right? Colin Kaepernick, right? That's why they got called at the very end, wasn't it? Because nobody else would do it.
Oh, I don't remember that.
Okay. So what one besides Prince do you remember?
I remember the J-Lo and Shakira one.
Okay.
And I remember the Justin Timberlake and Janet Jackson one. Yeah, I'm having trouble remembering what else I remember.
Now, apparently, you guys, and Rolling Stone has an article, and we'll put it on the link here. Gloria Estefan did like 3 halftime shows.
Really?
And right, that's what I'm fucking saying. Gloria Estefan and the Miami Sound Machine. One of them, 2 of them, she was paired up with somebody, and one of them there was like ice skaters and shit, and it was in Milwaukee or Minnesota or something like that. But I mean, for you, the people that of course grew up in the '80s that are Xers, then she had "Come on, Baby," something. I still can't sing it to this day. I don't know what the fuck she's saying. Do the Congo beat. Right. So, and then she had a whole, she had a couple hits. That is, I think it's Come On Baby, Say You Love Me.
Yeah.
Yes. I thought for a minute you were going Lisa Cold Jam on me, and I was like, okay, no, that's somebody completely, they look similar, but that's somebody completely separate. So, fucking Gloria Estefan.
3 times.
3 fucking times. I'm really out of everybody. Yeah. Of everybody we could have pulled from. But apparently it wasn't until the 90s, early 90s, where they stopped making the halftime Super Bowl show like marching bands and flags and shit. Mm-hmm. And I remember...
Although Prince brought them back.
Yeah, but that was flags. That wasn't like twirling baton flags.
No, it was a marching band though.
Did he have a marching band on his?
Yes, he did. Oh, my goodness.
How can I not remember that? Okay, we're going to get that in a second. So apparently until the beginning of the 90s, all of the halftime Super Bowl shows were marching bands, flag twirlers, like you're at some fucking high school event. And then they started trying to bring in some bigger name groups. And I think that it was like, NSYNC, with New Kids on the Block, Hanging Tough, which I never liked New Kids on the Block. But I actually liked Menudo.
Huh?
Do you remember Menudo?
No.
Oh, they were, so Ricky, fuck, what's his name? Ricky, come on now. People are screaming at me right now. Ricky,
Ricky, come on now?
No. The guy, he's super hot. Ricky Martin. He was the lead singer for Menudo, one version of Menudo, and he was super hot and loved him to death. I just thought he was adorable. And then, of course, he got hot, but then he decided he didn't want to be with women, and hearts broke all over the world. But New Kids on the Block did it, and then we had some really awful ones. I'm not a fan of Coldplay, and the fact that they matched Coldplay up with, you liked Coldplay?
I do like Coldplay, yes. I wouldn't have thought that they were a good choice for the Super Bowl halftime, but I do like Coldplay very much.
Well, and then you're going to line them up with Beyonce and Bruno Mars. First of all, Bruno Mars, his halftime show was amazing. And he had a lot of remnants of Michael Jackson in there, which, of course, Michael Jackson did a halftime show, and I watched it live, and I was losing my shit. But then at the end of it, this was right, I think, when the allegations were coming out, or there was whisperings of it or something. And so literally he, plays a couple songs, does his moonwalk. He's amazing. And then he goes into Heal the World. And like 400 little kids come out on the field, and then it's like all of a sudden we're at the fucking Super Bowl and everybody's all ramped up, and I can't remember who's playing, and then you have Michael Jackson and all these little kids. Bad choice, Michael.
Yeah.
Heal the world. I was like, dude, what the fuck are you doing right now? You're killing us. And Dangerous had just came out, and so of course MJ was fucking amazing. He was one of the ones. Can you think of any others, Zoe?
That I've seen, or just that I've heard about?
Yeah, that you've heard about.
The Rolling Stones, you already said that they did one.
Mm-hmm. And The Who did one.
Black Eyed Peas?
Yeah, which, for those of you who didn't watch that live, that fucking sucked balls. That was awful. The Black Eyed Peas one, and this is when they were kind of at their height too, and it was just kind of, I don't know, they phoned it in. All of them, I think, phoned it in.
Right.
But let's get to the one who holds the number one spot, and apparently Zoe is more familiar with me, so why don't you give us a breakdown of course, clearly now when we did the MJ versus Prince episode, Michael Jackson won it, okay? But
who says?
But I did, because
I didn't.
He beat Prince in net worth. He beat Prince in assets. He beat Prince as a businessman. He lost in fuckability. Clearly, but so MJ was the ruler of that one. But we did not take into consideration, and we should have, the halftime shows, because that would have pushed Prince closer to MJ. So give us a breakdown of the best halftime show of ever.
The best halftime show ever is clearly Prince. It was like Prince. The Super Bowl came to a Prince concert basically, and he was on a stage that was in the shape of the symbol. And he just nailed it. It was pissing down with rain. There was pyrotechnics, and it was a proper show. And he did some of his best tunes. And he also did some covers of some, amazing songs. He had dancers, everything that you expect and more. And for part of some of the songs, you're going to have to watch it again. He has a full-on marching band playing his music, and it's just spectacular. And he is so, as everyone knows, so fantastic live. The crowd was going berserk. It just was it.
So the thing that I remember out of that, besides obviously him playing Purple Rain and the veils coming up and his silhouette on there while he played Purple Rain, which was absolutely amazing, was those girls dancing around in 4-inch high heels, and not one of those bitches went down. Went down. Not one of them went down. And the whole time I'm watching it, I'm like, oh my God, please don't slip, because that's That is you think that it being in platforms, because one of the Spice Girls that, fell off her platforms and did something to her ankle, try fucking falling off stilettos at 4-inch when you're really fucked up and off balance. And the whole time I'm like, oh my God, please do not let you guys fucking eat shit on the stage when he's just doing this epic performance. And I remember that his hair surprised me because he had the little do-rag on, the little scarf, and he kind of tied it at the top.
Well, yeah, he had a scarf on, and he had a
like a purple suit or
turquoise,
something.
blue and turquoise, or turquoise and green suit, and he was just amazing. His voice was amazing. The whole show, the way he pulled it all together, and like I said, a mixture of his songs and some covers of old songs, and the marching band and the pyrotechnics and the rain pouring down and just the crowd going ballistic, and it was just. That's a show. Yeah, I haven't seen any of the other halftime shows happen during the rain, so I don't know if they had been called off or maybe if it was just places that didn't rain a lot or what. And then yesterday, I was rewatching yesterday's halftime show, and I'm in here fucking jamming by myself. And since it's the second time you can go around, you can kind of see everything, but they don't, how YouTube usually says there's an ad starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. They're not doing that shit. If you rewatch it, it just, bam, ad hits you. So, like, you'll be in the middle, like this, and then a fucking car commercial, and you're like, for real. And then you wait, and then you get back into it, and then it's like tax commercial. I'm like, you fucking greedy bastards. And I understand that the show is production, but they didn't pay the talent. So, fuckers, I don't need to see a fucking advertisement every 5 seconds on your YouTube video. But one of the things I had missed was they had this one shot of these 3 girls in cheerleader outfits. They were thick. And I thought that was so cool. And, I mean, they were thick. And they were like fucking jamming. I was like, oh my God. And it was a really quick pan. And upon a second viewing, I saw it. So I would recommend that you guys go back to YouTube and check out that halftime show. If you're an Xer, for sure. And if you're a millennial, we'll let you claim some of the acts. But seriously, you guys cannot toe that line that was fucking for you. We need to have this. And it would be very interesting to get into the psychology of truly why the X generation seems to be overlooked. And I mean, and it's a joke now, and I know that it's a stick for a lot of Xers, and we make fun of it on this show a lot. But literally, you guys, if you start researching financial topics, because obviously we are a financial show, and I'm a CFP, if you start researching financial topics, they literally skip over. In the article and in the titles, they skip over the extra generation and they say millennials and their boomer parents. Oh, did none of us Gen Xers give birth to children? Because I seem to remember pushing a couple out.
Yeah, that's all on you. But you know what I'm saying? So, like, I don't want it to become like a stick with Generation X where, everybody forgets about us. But at the same time, literally, there is regulations and stuff that's being put in place by boomers, and millennials are the next largest voting base coming up behind us, and the Xers are going to be smashed in the middle. So we're going to have kind of the results of the boomer rules, and then having all of the big swinging millennial population voting up behind us. And so it's going to be very interesting. But the point is that was a Gen X show. We proved it with the dates and times. So unless you were fucking bumping straight out of Compton at 8 years old, then that show was not fucking for you. And I didn't go check, and I just realized I forgot to. Dr. Dre, for those of you who probably know, and then we'll wrap this up. Dr. Dre was originally part of World Class Wrecking Crew. So that's how he met Michelle A, who was his girlfriend for a minute, he was accused of beating up. And that was another big hoo-ha about the show, is because Dr. Dre had beat up Dee Barnes, and she was trying to interview him, and I can't remember how it went down, and this was in the 90s or something, and he literally grabbed her head and slammed it against a wall. Ooh. And then Michelle A accused Dr. Dre of abusing her, and so it was a whole big deal where people are upset that went on. And then, of course, we had Snoop that was on trial for murder. And he was acquitted, and that was a big deal. And so for those of you, my Xers, who, when the VMAs were actually worth a shit, Snoop performed, and this was right after he was acquitted. And there was a casket that was on stage, and he was going to come out of the casket, but MTV said, no, you can't do that. So literally, there was a casket wheeled out on stage, and then everybody, of course, is expecting Snoop to come out of the fucking casket, and he doesn't. And then they wheel Snoop out in a wheelchair. to the middle of the stage, and you're like, did Snoop hurt himself? What the fuck? Then Snoop gets up and starts rapping, and I was like, what the fuck is happening right now? This is too much. Like, this shit doesn't make any kind of sense. But so that was a big scandal with the halftime show. But Dr. Dre was originally in World Class Wrecking Crew before NWA, and they had the song, Before You Turn Off the Lights, there is something you should know. And then it's something like, if you literally, this is a lyric, so I'm not going to try to sing it. If you plan to make love to me, you got to do it good. Okay? Because I'm a hell of a woman, and for me it takes a hell of a man, so don't you dare turn off the lights unless this you understand. And then Dre raps in it, and then after she says, unless this you understand, somebody in the band goes, click, like that. You have to listen. It's called Before You Turn Off the Lights, and it was a hit. It was a pseudo hit. This is way before Dre got with NWA, way before The Chronic, way before he became a producer, which I think he's a better producer than a rapper anyway, even though obviously I love Dre, period. So World Class Wrecking Crew, that I think came out in the early fucking 80s because they were posing. They were in, like, I want to say it was right after the disco era. They're posing in glittery costumes. And there's like a disco ball, and it's like Dr. Dre is on it. For those of you who are going to be watching on YouTube, Dr. Dre is like this, and he has a stethoscope, and he's doing this, looking at the camera. So he has the stethoscope in his hand with like all this bling and all this disco stuff, and it's just fucking great. You guys have to look it up, but we still love Dr. Dre. And the next show that we'll be doing, we'll be covering immigrants when they, well, that's kind of a shift. Right off the cliff.
Yeah.
We'll be covering immigrants, and we'll be trying to assess what it is that legal immigrants really get when they come over to this country, because there has been a lot of conversation about people coming over here and getting a whole bunch of stuff handed to them. And we find out by doing the research that they have access to the stuff that we have access to, but they don't specifically get anything extra handed to them. And so we'll be covering that in our episode next week.
And they don't necessarily have access to what we have access to either, right?
So the point is that we debunk that myth. And so we will catch you guys again. We thank you for tuning in. Follow us on social media at Finance is the Other F Word. Check out the YouTube channel at Finance is the Other F Word. YouTube at FTOFW_podcast. Follow Lily Lou Mittens on Instagram, and follow us on Instagram. And with that, we're out this bitch.
Cheerio.
Thanks for listening. If you like us, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts.